Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Gassani Nakeisha from AB 4041, and today I just want to tell you guys about the difference between my dream country and my own country. Since I like K-pop and watch K-dramas, I really interested with South Korea, so I choose South Korea for my dream country. And I really want to work in South Korea since I was high school. So there's a difference between South Korean culture and Indonesian culture. In South Korea, we usually greeting people by bowing, but in Indonesia, we usually greet people by shaking hand. And usually, Korean lived in apartment, but Indonesian usually lived in their own home. The currency in South Korea, they use won, and in Indonesia, we use rupiah. Korean usually getting married at 30 until 40, but in Indonesia we usually getting married at 23 until 30. South Korea has a low birth rate, but in Indonesia we have a really high birth rate. South Korean write in Hangul, but in Indonesia we just use alphabet. Korean actually have like Korean age, which is 1 year older than international age, but in Indonesia we just use international age. Internet are so fast in South Korea, and in Indonesia it's kind of low. South Korea have 4th season, which is winter, autumn, rainy, and summer. In Indonesia, we only have 2 seasons, rainy and sunny. Drink alcohol is basic things, especially for worker, but in Indonesia, mostly a Muslim, so we rarely drink alcohol. Korean use Korean language and Indonesia use Indonesian language, but both have like traditional language. In Korea is like Seoul and Busan have different accents and a little bit different sentence or words. Mostly Korean are Christian, or they're just believe in God but didn't have any religion. And in Indonesia mostly is a Muslim, but there's another religion too, like Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, and many more. Korean public transportation is subway, MRT, and taxi. And in Indonesia we have ojek, beca, angkot, bus, and many more. Usually Korean use public transportation, but Indonesia usually only use Gojek, or they just ride their own transportation. And there's a different work culture too between Korea and Indonesia. In Indonesia, teamwork is kind of important, and in Korea, we can be a moody person. What is moody person like? It's like easy, take everything to heart. We can be like that. And Korean must be dressed good and politely to work, but in Indonesia some company just let us dress casually. And in South Korea we really respect seniors or boss, but in Indonesia some company just let us talk casually to seniors or boss. South Korea. In South Korea, we have to work quickly but give the best results. But in Indonesia, we usually work on time, just on time. And in South Korea, Korean usually go to work with public transportation, but in Indonesia we usually use our own transportation, like our motorbike and our own car. And in South Korea, they usually celebrate successful work by drinking alcohol with their seniors, boss, or co-workers. But in Indonesia, we usually celebrate successful by shopping or just stay with our family. In South Korea, after work, we usually have another activity with friends or boyfriend, maybe girlfriend. But in Indonesia, we just work until evening and usually just go home because Indonesia are usually getting married at 23 or in a young age. And similarities between Indonesia and South Korean culture is they are both a part of Asian, and there's a SBMPTN for Indonesia and CSAT for South Korea. It's like a test to get into university, and we both usually like spicy food. And for the similarities between South Korean and Indonesian work culture, we both must be disciplined, be on time, be polite to boss and seniors, have an initiative to take good action, and we have to have good speaking skills. And maybe that's all from me. Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.